Okay, so what are those things that you did? And you sort of started talking about it before in terms of how the family changed, the dynamic changed when you started to move forward and you started to move on. So can you tell us a little bit about what that period of time looked like?
I got a lot of shit, let's just say, from moving forward in my life, the kids moving forward. A lot of shit. I met Palm because she was looking to make a will. So she was divorced and she read my story. So I was very brutally honest about my journey, what I was going through, and I wrote everything via LinkedIn, through stories, because that was my release.
So that's how your now wife learned about you, or kind of discovered you.
Because I think what did it for her was because I wrote something on Insta to say, I want to take the kids away on holiday, but it's going to be me and the 3 kids. If we're in the pool and one of them says, all right, I need to go to the toilet, what do I do? Do I just take one of them and leave the other 2? Or do I take all 3?
That's a really, really difficult conundrum. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
What did you? What would you do?
Yeah, so...
Wait, what's the answer to that question?
It depends how old they are, right? And if then you wouldn't leave them alone. You'll take them with you. And this happened once. We were at a Chinese buffet, and Vera needed to go to the toilet, so I took him to the toilet. I made the girls stand outside.
Solo parenting is hardcore. Like it's so hardcore.
And that is why Palm could relate, because she got 3 young girls, and she could relate to that. And she said, look, let's all go on holiday together. I'll take him to the toilet.
So it could have been, I'm sorry, as dreamy as that sounds, I'm sure it didn't completely happen like that. So when she kind of came into your field, into your world.
Slid into my DMs.
Is that what happened? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah. She would comment on my stories. I didn't take any notice of it because there were hundreds of people liking it and my stories and so on. So I didn't, It's only when she said, look, this is my situation, I need to make a will. I'm going to go and see a family member up near your ends, because she lived in Oxford then.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, on your way back, let me know, we'll meet somewhere. And then we met just outside Leamington, and we just hit it off straight away.
So was it sort of a rendezvous disguised as a let's talk about wills, or was it a I actually really think you're interesting, can we meet up? Was it that direct, or was it more just a...
Purely business.
Business. Okay, fine.
Purely business.
And then it wasn't until you met that you felt that.
I had no interest in finding anybody else. My focus was the children. But when we met, we ended it. I ended like, you're just like a mirror. Hence that song that I've got. It's called Mirror.
Tell me about the song.
So it was for Christmas. I paid someone to make a bespoke song about Palm, how we met, the kids got together. So, but it's framed. You get the QR code, you scan it, and then you can listen to it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that feeling immediately, like, okay, this person, you just got each other immediately.
We just became friends. We got the kids together, took them to a circus,
And how was that? Because naturally, spending time with another woman and her kids, even as friends, like, what was the perception around what you were doing then? Even though you were just living your life and doing whatever, was there a sense of, and I'm only speaking to this because you've said that you got a lot of shit. Like, at what point did that sort of permeate you two just hanging out and being together?
So it was just friends, because she really understood me, even though she had never experienced grief, whatever the hell that is now.
Well, grief, I think we do experience, by the way, in so many different ways.
So, grief doesn't really mean death. It can be grief of a spouse, a child, not death.
Because she'd also been married and divorced, right? So that is a form of grieving, I think.
So, but she understood me. And the way and then we met her at the circus, and Vera at the time said, Daddy, can we get back to Palm's house? I'm like, okay, is that all right with you? I said, he never does this. So we went back to her house, and the kids just all got on. They played. Yeah, she got a cat, and the Vera was playing with the cat, and that's it. And then, but it just got more frequent, these visits and hanging out together. But I think what made it good, made it easier, it was during COVID. So we had our own little bubbles. Nobody could come in. And that gave us a chance to really get together. And that's when we thought, okay, maybe this is going somewhere.
What did you feel about that? Did you allow yourself to feel anything, or was there any sort of guilt or anything that comes with this idea of like, I kind of want this, but I'm like, can I want this? Like, what were the feelings like?
I went with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
There was no guilt on my part. It was only when I was made to feel guilty.
Right.
It's when I told certain family members, not my family, that, you know, this is what's happening. That's it.
Had you and Nim ever talked about this?
Yeah. So there was a time when she was quite ill and she was a bit upset. This was at home. And I went in, I said, is everything all right? And she said, promise me you will never get married again. She had accepted that she's not going to be here for long. And she said, promise me you'll never get married again. I said, yeah, held her hand. I said, yeah, of course I'm not. I'm not going to get married again. How can I do that? For her, it was a case of which woman on this planet can come in and take care of my kids. So, and I was like, yeah, I will fulfill that promise. 100% I will. I can't think about that. You know, I was just thinking about seeing her through till the end, make sure she's comfortable, and then once she had passed away, then it's the kids.
Mm-hmm. And so I do think it's very interesting because that in and of itself, whilst it's really like loaded with emotion and naturally coming from a place of, you know, fear and her also grieving the fact that she's not going to be here anymore. Yeah. And yeah, it's really difficult to imagine your life partner, especially someone that you know you're losing or not deciding to separate from choice, to even kind of comprehend that. So that's when I say sort of the guilt, it doesn't necessarily come from doing anything wrong, but sometimes we sort of, you know, there's implicit feeling of that because, you kind of had that conversation and maybe I remember when I met you the first time, people were talking about you should do your rishta again and you were like, I'm not ready. And then on the flip side of that, there were people being like, you should never do that again. And it's hard to know what to do. What's right for you is ultimately the only thing that you can do.
It was before Nim's funeral. Somebody had said to me, have you thought about getting married again? Fucking hell, mate. She's not even, she hasn't been cremated yet, you know? And then it was some of Nim's friends, and they were like, do you know what? We know it's not easy, but we want you to, you know, find someone and move forward with your life. And I was like, do you know what? I've got something to tell you. I am with someone. That's it. The whole persona, physiology, everything changed from that person.
So this was somebody that had invited you to move on.
Yeah.
But in reality, couldn't quite take the truth of the fact that you had started to move on. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool, man. This is like, you know, one of Nim's friends. And so that's an invite for me to open up and say, actually, do you know what? Yeah, this is what's happened. That's it, man. No. I'm like, why say it in the first place?
Do you know what I'm sort of getting a sense of for you as well is that a few times where you felt like you had said something really personal and been vulnerable, you kind of was met with judgment and you were shut down. Yeah. So it's natural that you would then probably find that difficult to do again.
Yeah, and I thought, right, why should I share what I've been through, what I'm going through with anyone, you know? And there's somebody from the town that said openly to Palm and me, and they're friends, they're very good friends now, and said, you know, when you first came into his life, when you moved to Leamington, I didn't like you. And it's like, hang on, you don't know this person. It's just because people saw Palm as a replacement. Nim's gone, she's coming. And this person said to Palm, to her face, I didn't like you when you came to Leamington. She'd never spoken to her, she'd never seen her. But now, they are good friends.
Yeah, and I really feel like we should have had your wife in this conversation because naturally it's such... it's a mountain to climb when you're entering a family anyway, and you too with her children, because it's blending them together. It's quite another thing when the other partner has passed away. There's a different type of holding and tenderness and empathy and willingness to actually kind of not take the mantle, but know that, okay, I'm not replacing your mum.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you'd left a relationship and you were quite clear on cutting those ties. This is a space that she has to navigate, right? Really compassionately.
Yeah. And she said that to the kids. She goes, I am not here to replace your mum. I'm here to give you that additional support and give you that mother's love. And she's done a great job. And I asked Naveen, because once we left Oxford, on the way back on the M40, Naveen was crying. She said, Daddy, what are you doing? You know, who is Palm? You know, why are you replacing Mummy? I said, I'm not replacing Mummy. And I had this conversation with her 18 months ago. I go, do you remember how you reacted? She said, oh my God, I can't believe I reacted like that. I said, are you happy now? She goes, yeah.
With the shift in your family dynamic and how your family is now blended and it's big, and since I saw you, you've moved house, you've got so much more space, you've got a dog now. So what is life like these days?
Life right now, it's very, very different. It has not been easy. I'm loving life now because I've got that partner I can share my feelings with, and the kids have got that mum figure, like Via now calls Palm mum. Mum, Dad, Mum, like a little parrot, you know? But it sounds so nice that he can say that, because he doesn't have that memory of Nim anymore. He does not remember what she sounded like, but he doesn't remember feeling that love from her.
And so how, other than the photos, I guess, how do you keep Nim's memory alive with him?
So there's a few videos of Nim on YouTube, and there's a few times where I found him just sit here, just going on YouTube, typing in Nim Reinu, and he would watch that. But what we do is every time it's Mother's Day, Nim's birthday, we would just get a cake, and we'll put Nim's photos out, and we'll cut, especially her birthday. It's cutting a cake in her memory. But that's not me. That's all Palm's doing.
And so would you, when he's a bit older, do you think, want to be a bit more proactive in giving him a sense of who his mum was? Or is that something that you just think, if and when he kind of comes to you and as he's inquiring and if he's curious?
If he's feeling a bit down, or if he's thinking about Nim, he'll just say it. He goes, I really miss Mummy. And then I'd say, okay, what do you miss about her? And they'd be like, I don't know. Because he literally has no memory. It's just from watching the videos. But he gets that mother's love, that mother's hug. You know, if he's hurt himself, he'll go to Palm. You know, and I'm so blessed and lucky the fact that we've got someone like Palm in the family. And this is why I will never understand, doesn't matter what anybody says, why I got a lot of hate, why people give me shit, why people set up fake profiles on Instagram and started bombarding on my pictures and comments on Palm's pictures. Who is she? She's a nobody, you know, about Palm. She's a nobody, you know. Why are you replacing Nim just like that? So
do you think it's because you shared your story, right? And people think then they have some kind of claim over knowing your family, or were these people that actually knew Nim, or was it just anybody?
The trolls, they were strangers because they didn't like the way I shared my story or Viren being upset, and some were trolls which I could tell by the way they were writing. I know exactly who that is. I think the one thing was that they said, oh, you moved on very quick. I said, I haven't moved on, I've moved forward. But I'd be like, okay, here's a calendar, show me on here when it's okay for me to get married again or be with someone. You know, I said Rio Ferdinand did it. You know, same situation as me. He met with Kate Ferdinand, but that's okay. He's a celebrity. But I said, he's human. I'm human. We all need love. We want to feel loved. So what gives you the right to really, really give me shit?
And so what I think is really interesting is judgment. And I think judgment is so prevalent in our community.
Yeah.
We're constantly judging. We're constantly thinking it's not good enough. We're constantly thinking it needs to be better. We're constantly like, I think it's really hard for a lot of people to just sit with themselves.
Yeah.
And then what they need to do in order to make their lives feel better is comment on everybody else's. Just a theory.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
No, it's true.
You know, it's so much easier to look outside and judge what's happening to everybody else than it is to sometimes look at what's happening at home.
Yeah.
And look at how you can be a better human to the people around you.
Yeah. One is people, especially living in a small town, everyone knows everyone. I was talk of the town for weeks. People are judging you. And I always say, look, there's one finger pointing at the person you're talking about, but there's always three fingers pointing back at you. To always look at your situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, always look at your situation before you comment. You are not
because it triggers you for a reason, and that's so unfortunate. Because one thing I love about being Indian, being South Asian, is actually community.
Yes,
like community is so big for us. Service is so big for us. Looking out for each other is so ingrained in us, and so is judging each other.
Yeah.
And that is the bit, that's the paradox of being from, you know, looking like you, looking like me, being in the community that we're from. And how much that affects our lives is how deeply embedded you are in a community that you kind of want to call your village, that you want to lean on.
Yeah. When Nim passed away, all the way to the funeral, even after the funeral, if you need anything, let me know. If somebody's going through that grief, they are never ever they're never gonna reach out and say, okay, do you remember what you said? If you need anything, let me know. This is what I need. That's a total wrong thing to say. What do you need from me is what people should be asking. And there were just a small handful of people that would check in with me every day for a couple of weeks. Then it went down to, you know, every week, once a week. That I appreciated. But from the community, no. And there were a lot of people at Nim's funeral. There's about 1,400 people at Nim's funeral. Yeah.
Wow.
A lot.
Wow.
And so where the hell are those people now? And this is where the loneliness started, dealing with everything myself.
Yeah, because you, in the book, you talk a lot about that loneliness, and you even mention suicidal thoughts. You really talk about how your mental health suffered.
Yeah.
So can you sort of share some of that in terms of how that showed up and when it showed up?
I think it initially started during COVID. And this is where I reflect back and look, I thought, damn, man, you were depressed. You were going through depression. Because I remember just lying, because when Boris announced lockdown, we quickly just moved into mum and dad's, because they were going to be lonely. So I thought, let's all, me and the kids moved in. And I just found myself lying on the sofa like this. Kids running around outside. And then when I look back, I think, yeah, you were going through a shit time then. So it started then. So lockdown and the lack of support.
So that isolation, that feeling of isolation.
Yeah. But that isolation carried on. And it still carries on. You know, lockdown started in 2020. We're now in 2025. That isolation, that loneliness is still there. But I've managed to deal with it in a different way.
And when did you start talking like really openly about this?
I shared it with a couple of my brother-in-laws in over Christmas, just gone. So 2 months ago. That's about it.
So that was the first time?
Yeah. Only because I was coming out at the end of it. Right in the deep, darkest points of not just suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts. I never shared it with anyone.
And so, very tenderly, you know, you've talked before about not wanting to be judged and not wanting to feel ashamed and all of these things. Did any of that stop you from feeling like, oh, I should reach out to somebody, I should get help? We have such a lack of understanding and ways in which we can actually support people in their darkest moments. And I think a lot of that is because men generally struggle to open up. But
I so badly wanted to open up and talk to someone about it. I spoke to Palm about it. She couldn't understand. She tried to support me as much as she could, but for me, it wasn't enough. I wanted to go out with a bunch of lads, mixed grill, have a few pints. That was what I wanted. And there were times when I was scrolling through my phone book. Who can I call? Nope, can't call you. No, you've never been there. I just got my phone and just threw it. I said, I've literally got no one. Literally got no one. That was a dark point. And there was one point, Naveen's birthday last year, I was just hyperventilating, I'm literally having a nervous breakdown. And I messaged Palm because she's at my parents, and I said, I need you to come home now because I'm going to do something. And I'd got everything ready. I'm going to do it. But I was having that internal battle with myself. Said, if you end your life now, your kids are going to be orphans. They've been through enough shit already. And you want to put them through that shit again. And this time, they are old enough to remember. Viren is 9 years old. He will remember everything. Why are you going to do this to them? And I just had to give myself that pep talk. Don't be selfish. It's just a little blip what you're going through, but in my head it wasn't. But again, give myself that little talk saying, come on, you've got through that hard time with Nim passing away, being a mum and dad for them. You can get through this, whatever it is you're going through. Because it wasn't just about having like the community not being there for me, my friends not being there for me. Everything was having an impact on every single area of my life. My relationship with Palm, my relationship with the kids, my parents. I wouldn't even leave the house at times. If I needed to go out to a supermarket, hood up, head down. I didn't want to bump into anyone. I didn't want to see anyone. That's it. And I thought, I just want to end everything. That wasn't just once or twice. It was a daily thing. I'd wake up thinking, oh, I've woken up again. Yeah. People wake up, they're grateful. I wasn't. I just didn't want to be here anymore. And it also really affected my business. Really affected my relationship with clients. And that's what made it 100 times worse. I would have a client just call. It could be a really sweet old auntie just saying, I want to make a will, I want to make a change. I would hold my phone out, it'd be shaking, and I just couldn't answer. I found it so hard to answer the phone. Really hard to answer the phone.
And so one thing I just want to mention is, obviously, for anyone that is listening and is recognizing some of what you're saying and maybe resonating with some of it, there are definitely services and, mental health providers that can support you with those thoughts. And, we are not in a therapy session right now, but there was ways for you that at that time, because even just as you were sharing, it was a sense of, come on, get on with it. You can do this. This is not it. But there are so many reasons why your mental health may have dipped to the place that it had, where it's not as easy as just reframing it and getting on with it. Those are very real feelings and thoughts. And they can, of course, that can happen to anybody. And I think this is the thing that people think, it won't happen to me. I don't, we create a distance from it.
Yeah.
But
I was one of them. I thought, I don't believe in depression. Get a hold of yourself. Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? Control your emotions. I was that type of guy until it just hit me. Oh, shit, man, this is real. But how do I control my emotions? Sometimes I still look back and I think, oh, you're weak, man. You're weak.
But I don't think it was how do you control your emotions. It was how do you feel them?
Yeah.
Because this whole journey, you've been on this sort of quest to almost avoid feeling them, or then feel them too much, or then it was like, how do I come into balance with my emotions, right? I don't want to control them, but I don't want to deny them anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to pretend like it's not there anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm being judged for having the emotion.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so brave and so honest about that, because it's obviously not something that happened a decade ago. This is still very much something that you're processing.
We're talking in the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, and I did try different avenues, like the Samaritans, I spoke to them. Again, they do a wonderful job, but again, it doesn't quite fulfill what I needed. I spoke to 4 different people who are heavily into Sikhi. They're good Sikhs, so they're Amritdhari Singhs. And there was nothing there. And I felt really, really let down by my religion. I I thought, hang on. And two of these guys I was really close to. But when I shared my experience, like, nah, you know what? I never heard from them. It doesn't matter what I was going through. I thought, I need your support. Nah. And that's when I even started looking at other faiths and religions. Yeah, I thought, okay, if my own religion can't give me this, right, let's see what other religions can.
And so what then did help you in your darkest moments?
The fact that it wasn't the religion, it was the people. The people let me down. It wasn't my religion. And it's only recently that I've actually come out of this dark period in my life where I feel good. You know, the energy is different. You ask a kid, you ask Palm, they'll be like, okay, it's like a new me.
And because the book obviously is still very much about you being a father, and it speaks about the children losing their mother. If Nim was here today, what would you say to her about the journey that you've been on? Or what do you say to her? Maybe you speak to her. I don't know.
Did I do the right thing? Because I made a promise to her that I'll never get married again. So if she was here to say it, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right choice of getting married again? And I personally think she would turn around and say, yeah, because then she would look at Viren, Avani, Naveen, the stability that they have right now. We all get on so well. And when it's our birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, kids don't buy cards. They make their own cards. They draw whatever and they write a special message in there.
You have a card there which is from Palm's eldest?
Yep, Aisha, yep.
Aisha, okay.
So I'll read it out. She said, "Happy 41st birthday, Oldie. I don't say this enough, but thank you for coming into my life. You're appreciated so much in this house for keeping us all in order, for helping me become a better version of myself every day. I know I seem like a bratty teenager, but your nagging works eventually. I feel like I've matured recently, and I do enjoy your company more often than not. Definitely try to be less awkward now. You're more than just a stepdad. You're a role model and someone to look up to. You teach me something new every day. I think we're more alike than I thought. Hashtag crazy. Please don't let my art skills deceive you. That's Viren's speciality. You've always kept me grounded and humble so I can grow up to be the best version of myself and achieve my dreams. So thank you so much for being there for me. I love you, from Aisha."
I love that.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel to hear that?
I've always said to the kids, it's important to give us feedback, me and Palm, and appreciate what we do, because it is feedback, so at least we know we're on the right track. And again, I know it's taken a lot of courage to write that, and that is feedback to me to show that she appreciates what I've done and I'm on the right track and I'm doing the right thing.
And what about your kids? Do they sort of affirm Palm in the same way? Like, do they offer similar types of feedback to her?
Yeah, definitely. Because again, we always get the kids to make cards, and it was Palm's birthday a couple of weeks ago, and I'll read you out something what Naveen wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Happy. You want to say your age? Happy 44th birthday.
44. That's an angel number. That is.
Thank you so much for everything you do for us. I wouldn't be where I am now without you. I am so grateful for how close we are. I feel as if I can talk to you about anything and everything. No matter what it is, you're the first person I would think of to help me out in any situation. You've helped me in so many ways to see things in a different perspective, see things in a positive way, no matter how negative it can be. Not only have you supported me, but also Daddy. I've seen how much of an impact you've had on him and how happy you make him, which helps me to see that having you in our lives is a huge blessing, and you've made us all grow and blossom into better versions of ourselves. I love you so much and thank you for everything you do. I appreciate it so much, from Naveen.
Oh, that's so lovely.
And
you can feel how genuine that is.
Yeah, this is all genuine, and it just shows you that I did make the right decision. And again, if Nim was listening, this is from Naveen.
Do you know what? It's so powerful, and it's so powerful in so many ways, because I think that as we get older, our role as adults or as human beings, as we're going through this crazy experience of life, and the number of times that we will rebirth ourselves. And, you know, whilst we're sort of in our infancy of our new beings, which, you know, you were who you were for 35 years. And then, you know, you come into this place of having to alchemize that pain and, you know, rebirth yourself into a version of yourself that you want to be. But it's like your 3-year-old self against your old 35-year-old self all the time. And then you're like, oh my gosh. And then when you get to become also a role model or an inspiration, or, you know, hey, I can also still parent because I was willing to challenge myself to be different, you know. And it's so affirming to be like, you can still show up for children, you know, even when you're going through all of that, and they will see that and they will value that, because that's where you're learning your wisdom.
We do have an impact on kids. And often, again, I read these cards, and just now I've just had that thought. I thought, if I'd followed through and I did end it all, I wouldn't have this card. Naveen would not be writing this card to Palm, because she would not be in that headspace. She'd be like, Daddy, where's Daddy? I miss Daddy. You know, and this is the message that I want to give to the men out there, especially, is it's just it's a long-term solution to a temporary problem, ending your life. It's not worth it. There is help out there, and you just got to find it. You may not find it straight away, but just reach out. It will. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And I remember following this page on their private page on Facebook for men, about 10,000 members on there on a daily basis about men's mental health. On a daily basis, men were saying, I've had enough. My ex-wife's like this, she's done this to my kids, they've turned against me, I want to end it. I've tried to end it on a daily basis, and I'll show Palm these messages and say, look, read this. It's a men's mental health suicidal pandemic, what we are in at the moment. Yeah.
But I think what's really powerful about your story and your journey and what you're writing and the book, if people have found comfort in the conversation, you know, there's also so much value in your words and in the written word as well. I know that you've got a lot you've got a big heart, and you've got a lot to share, and you've got a story to tell, and there are so many ways that we can tell our stories. I think the point is that we do, right? Because when we do share our stories, we dismantle the shame around the stories. We're able to connect with so many people that we never thought that we would connect with, inspire others, and of course we're not just doing it for ourselves. There's something really powerful about alchemizing that pain into some kind of purpose, where you just feel like, okay, what did I go through all of that for? If it wasn't to be able to not just share, but witness myself in my growth. And I just congratulate you on being able to witness yourself, inviting me to witness you on your growth so far. And, you know, I just wish you honestly, so much joy, so much love, so much happiness, and so much peace for the years ahead.
Peace. That is, when you get to a certain age, that is what you
just
want.
Peace. And anyone that's disturbing the peace.
Yes.
Peace.
Yeah. Peace. Yeah. That's it. That's what they can do, you know, and that's what it is. There's only so much bullshit that you can take, but when you get to a certain age, all you want is peace, shanti, calmness. You know, it's not about the money, it's not about the flashy things. You just want an easy life, and that is where I am, and that's where we are at the moment.